Hello, welcome to the first day of our physical cleanse, which is based on the wisdom of Ayurveda, the science of life. We call it Panchakarma. It's 5 actions of purification, and we're going through this week. If you have signed on to cobrasmedicinebag.com, went to that homepage. You will see there's a kapha reset course there. There's a button underneath. Look for the big butterfly. It says free access on that button. Just click that button and you're right into the free course that this particular cleanse is based on. It's a cleanse of mind, body, spirit. We're in week 2 here. Week 1 was laying down the foundation, which was all about nourishment, really getting the basic fundamentals of nourishment, as well as getting in touch with intuitive eating, getting in touch with your body, getting in touch with learning how to nourish yourself according to internal directive as opposed to external directive, which is what most of us are used to, especially in the West. We're used to eating according to outside dictates. It's time to eat, everybody else is eating, so I should eat, um, as well as what different diet gurus tell you is the way to eat instead of really sinking into the wisdom of your own body and letting it direct the course. So I'm really looking forward to diving in with all of you this week. And the basic cleanse is outlined in that second week's lesson, which is cleanse. And it goes deeper. Basically, what that course is about, I'm just going to give a little filler to see if anybody shows up at this time. They may not, it's okay. I just want to have these lives available for people that do have questions or want to bring in their experiences and need the support. If you catch the replay, it's perfectly fine. These are just meant to provide you with some information so you feel supported going through the process. The Kapha Reset course is 6 weeks. Okay, so we're journeying together a little bit. Oh no, actually 6 weeks, six. Yeah, that works. Okay, so it will carry you through this whole experience of these 40 days that we're doing this cleansing work together, and it's very beneficial. It's very beneficial. It leads you step by step. Okay. Each week has a different focus. This week is all about cleansing. Last week was all about nourishing. And we go through this process week by week by week, and one step builds upon the next. So, if you do decide to take me up on that offer of that free course, and there's no sales pitch, there's no upsell, there's no nothing. Okay. It's just something I've made free to the public. I want to offer it to all of you for your support on your own individual path healing. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. It will lead you step by step by step through this process. And it absolutely covers the spiritual as well. So I'm going to be bringing in a live every day, and I'll expand on the material today. I just wanted to talk about some things that can come up in the cleansing process and also substitutions you can make, as well as a little directive for how to sink into this first day. So it's kind of nice if you got the course to travel along with me. You can read the information, get settled in, get yourself prepared for what you'll need. And then I expand on the material in the lives and we go a lot deeper with it. I already noticed some things really shifting for me and we're just getting started. I already noticed what my main thing I need to work on clearing out with this cleanse is all about clearing out some trapped fire I got going on. How do I know I got trapped fire going on? I feel a lot of frustration. I'm having kind of pitta type insomnia where I'm really having difficulty falling asleep at night. I might get tired earlier in the evening and kind of have like a little nap, but then I find that once it hits that hour around 2 a.m., which is pitta hour, I'm just like, I got like a second wind. And I've been really trying to reverse it for a while, but I've been going that way for a while and I've been really bringing my fire forward for a while. So I also feel like some agitation. I know I got some old anger I need to clear out. So for me, it's all about moving this trapped fire out of my body. What is my trapped fire held back by? AMA. Okay, I got kapha accumulation. I got a lot of congestion. So that's what's holding my fire back. But all of that will break up this week. I already started with my morning switchel, which is the recipe for that is included in week 2 cleanse. Hello. Yes, it's a good morning. I was just like dropping in and like getting in touch with sort of what I know I need to clear out. I don't know if you've been sinking into that at all, Julie, this morning. What you think the main focus of your cleanse is for you, but for me, it's really about moving a lot of excess fire. I feel like I got inflammation in my body. I feel like I got inflammatory emotions to clear out. I feel like I got, that those frustrated thoughts to clear out. And there's some healing work. My spiritual work is really around that too. It's all around clearing out all those fiery kind of emotions. So, but I got to clear out, the AMA first, the kapha accumulation, which I do have. Although I have to say it's a lot better than it was last week, you know. Just that 1 week of dropping in with, pulling away from my nighttime eating and starting to ease in and nourish myself better, make those changes. I actually moved a lot of my bloat. I feel like my face isn't as puffy as it was last week. It feels a little clearer. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Is it okay if I put your comments up? Because I think it can sometimes help people who don't make the lives if they can see your comment posted. I assume it is. I mean, I know you're bringing it in the live chat. So just so everybody knows in the future, if you make a comment in the live chat, I may put it up on, the video here so people who don't make it can see it. This is really common at this time of year, okay? To feel that kind of combination of congestion as well as that sort of like agitation, frustration, the fiery emotions. This can be very common. The reason why is that we get kapha accumulation as we move through the cold months, okay? And that produces a lot of that ama, which in westernized terms relates to mucus buildup in the gut, okay? And that mucus can start to kind of create a damp quality in the gut, and that puts out the agni or the digestive fire. But agni is really like the seat of your health because agni is responsible for helping us digest so many things. And we're going to go very, very expansively as we move through this week, okay? So Agni doesn't just support the HCl, the hydrochloric linoleic acid that helps the body break down the food. So you can actually assimilate those nutrients, but it also helps you digest the thoughts, the experiences. It's also spiritually digesting of karma, okay? And Panchakarma, that's what we're doing right now. We're going through this week of really focusing on 5 different levels of purification methods that will absolutely purify mind, body, spirit. And it also helps us get through some of that karma, which is really important right now because we want to open up our road, especially with the change of the nodes of destiny coming up in July with that Aries point. Okay. The Aries point, that Aries is going to be at 0 degrees when it moves into that north node. And that's really significant because it means we're at that point of, and Cal Garrison talked about it a bit in the astrology drop in she did with us the other week. And she was talking about how it's the alpha omega point. So it's really this point of opportunity where we can really manifest that new cycle and how we want to step into it. What better way to step into it than with a clean slate? And all of us are doing our karmic work right now, rising up out of the shadow of that Scorpio South node. So this is so, so, so helpful. Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. Congratulations. Doing the work. Yeah, I've moved some myself. I've moved some myself. I did put on a little fluff. I did put on a little fluff through the holiday season, mainly because I got sick, and I hadn't been sick in like 3 years, and I came down with a cold. And I think because maybe it was the holiday time and I was enjoying those more, kind of mucus producing foods and stuff, my immune system was just a little bit more susceptible. And I'd slacked a little bit on some of the stuff that I was doing to really maintain my immune system. And so I got a little like, you know, life gave me a little bit of that slap on the hand, just, to remind me that I need to consistently show up for myself. But it went into bronchitis, and I still have, the tail end of that. And some bronchitis is something I've struggled with since I was a wee one, I was born with chronic bronchitis. So, I had a really good 3-year run, but it just reminded me like I need to get back, I need to get back on my Panchakarma lifestyle. So I just wanted to share about that a little briefly, and then we'll go into the cleanse and some specifics and some substitutions and create space for questions. I'm also going to get us a little read from the Kali Oracle to help us kick off this week of Panchakarma. Again, this is by Alana Fairchild. She did the White Light Oracle we brought in the other day. I love this though, and I feel like it's super fitting too. So, um, ferocious grace and supreme protection with the wild divine mother. I'm ready for some of that. Okay. And also, Kali helps us cut cords, right? She helps us cut off what doesn't serve. And it's especially helpful that I'm bringing in Kali today. Maybe that's why I was drawn to her, because I do have this awareness that I got this frustration. Ooh, I got some old anger I need to process, which is really what the liver is about. Like the liver stores, your anger. So it makes sense. A lot of people find that they have um, resentments, frustration, anger, these kind of emotions that they need to clear out at this time. It's very common because you eat all those mucus producing foods, you get all this alma buildup, and you get your agni dampened, and so you're not able to digest foods the way you normally can. And we know it's all interconnected. So, okay, now I'm not digesting my food properly, I'm not properly nourished, but now I'm also, not effectively digesting my thoughts, digesting my emotions, digesting my experiences. And this builds up, it builds up, it builds up, it builds up. So now we got this big, fire built up that's being held back by this wall of this damp, cold, sticky, ama. So this is what the cleanse is about. We start there, working with other methods too, but the main goal is really to get the ama out, okay? Because once the ama is out of the way, then all the channels start to free up. We also do a lot of lymphatic stimulation when we are doing cleansing. We also bring in sweating or svedhana. It's part of purification. Your skin is a detoxification organ, and a lot of people don't consider this. So I just want to go into these like specifics and certain ways that you can really enhance this experience and make the most out of it. And I will tell you that where you're starting now will be very different at the end of a week, at the end of the week, if you really just focus and give yourself this time to dive really deep with it. I'm taking a break from social media. I'm only coming on YouTube, and that feels good to me because YouTube, the work I do here, it's all spiritually focused, so um that'll be beneficial focus for me. But I'm pulled my energy off of Facebook for this week. That's the only other social media I really do, even though I have accounts on other places. Sometimes I'll do TikTok, but I already noticed this morning, just with taking that back, there was this just almost like this compulsion, like, oh, I should check my Facebook. And then I was like, oh no, wait, I'm taking the week off of Facebook. So looking at things like that, where can you kind of like pull back your energy that maybe is just a time waster, maybe something you've gotten used to doing that's habitual, but it's sucking up time that you really want to use this week to focus on yourself. And that can be challenging for people sometimes, right? Because one thing about a buildup of excess kapha, this kapha accumulation that we're working to clear out at this time, is that it can make people feel clingy, have a lot of attachment. It can also make people feel very lethargic. And sometimes it can bring on feelings of melancholy or depressed states, low energy, things along these lines. So the temptation to just sort of like tune out and distract oneself can be pretty strong. And that's why the more that you can like pull your energy back from outside sources of distraction and really bring your energy in towards yourself, the focus in towards yourself, the better you're going to make use of this cleanse. The other thing is that it's going to be uncomfortable. All right. So we just have to be prepared for that, that as we're working through this cleanse, we're not going to be comfortable. We won't necessarily be comfortable physically as we get all this clearing coming out. We might also notice that we are having, certain uh, certain uncomfortable emotions come up. This is all natural because uh, it's very common. What I mostly see with people when we go through this kapha cleansing is the emotions coming up in relation to usually two. Okay, so usually there is anger that comes up first or resentment. This is very, very common, okay, because we're starting to move that ama, right? We're starting to move that ama. And also with the ama comes up grief, okay? So usually these are the two emotions that come front and center with this kind of cleansing work. So do be prepared for that. If you're experiencing that, if you go through this week and you notice, why am I crying, or why am I feeling so angry? Why am I feeling so frustrated? You're burning off that karma, baby. It's just you're clearing this stuff out, and because you're pulling your energy back from outside distractions and you're focusing on yourself, you finally have an opportunity, this like container you've created where you can do this healing work, and it's so potent and it's so powerful. So the more that you can have that space for yourself, just be real kind and gentle towards yourself so you can really like sink into the experience and get the most out of it, the better off you're going to be. I did take my switchel this morning. I do not like the switchel, okay, but it works. It's effective. I already got, AMA moving. So I did want to let people know. Oh, yes. Grief coming up for me. I feel like I moved through a lot of frustration and anger already. Won't be surprised if more comes through. Yes, more will likely come through, especially if you already noticed it stirring up just within the first week. There's going to be more that comes in. The switchel is in the course. It's in the kapha reset course, and that's what I'm going off of for the cleanse. So if you have not opened up that kapha reset course, you will want to read that. Okay, that's what we're kicking off today. Is week 2 of the kapha reset course, and it's free for all of you. Go to Cobra's Medicine Bag. Go on the home page. It's featured there. You'll see the butterfly. Click it, and on that free access. Yeah, you just went through week 1 so far. So what I'm starting on today is week 2. All right, I'm starting on week 2. So I'm getting in the cleanse. Y'all haven't read that yet. Some of you might have. You might have peeked ahead. If you haven't, you want to open up week 2's lesson of that kapha reset course. And just for those tuning in now that weren't here in the beginning, or maybe you're coming new to this, the kapha reset course is free. It's on cobrasmedicinebag.com. Go to the homepage. You'll see a butterfly there. It says kapha reset 6 weeks from oh no to ojas, and you can click the free access button. It takes you in. There's no need to sign up for anything, no need to register an account, nothing to pay out, no sales pitch, nothing. Okay. So open up that second lesson today. All right. And if you're new to it and you weren't here last week, or you're just joining us now, that's perfectly fine. Make sure you read the first lesson too, because it goes over nourish and the basic fundamentals of nutrition, Ayurveda style, that will support you as we go through this 40-day cleanse process. And then you can just jump right into week 2. So there is a switchel, okay? There's a switchel. There's a morning drink that you have. It's a detox drink when we do this cleanse, and it calls for. It's pretty stout, I'll tell you, okay? It's all for clearing out ama and actually getting your digestive fire going, all right? And you're gonna have gunk come out. I just want you to be prepared. Like, as you go through this process, you're going to notice a lot more mucus like coming up. It's a good thing. We don't want this stuff to stay stuck in our system, because that's what's holding us back. You rock, Amanda. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay. So you do want to read that second lesson, or else you won't know what the heck I'm talking about, but I'm giving you the primer for it so you know what to expect. And I'm addressing some questions in this live that I've done this. Like, I think this is like my 3rd year doing this. Okay. So I know the questions that commonly come up. So I'm just going to get them taken care of for you all today. So you already have the answers in advance, because, you know, they're questions that come up quite frequently, I've noticed. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to bring them in, your experiences, anything. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of ama moving. You'll notice you'll be coughing it up. You're going to have it coming out of your sinuses. When you go to the bathroom, we talk about this in Ayurveda. We don't shy away from it. We pay attention to, you know, what are our bowel movements looking like? That has a lot to do with understanding what's happening internally in our body. So you may even notice mucus in your feces. This is common, right? It's like going to be coming out everywhere. Now, as that ama comes out, you're probably going to notice you'll have emotional release, because it's all interconnected. Remember, ama is that which is undigested. So it's undigested food, it's undigested emotions, it's undigested thoughts, it's undigested experiences. And at its deepest stratum that we're working through this week and throughout this whole process we're going through together, it is undigested karma. Okay. So Panchakarma, 5 physical actions, 5 physical methods for clearing karma. Now, what is karma specifically? You hear so much people say, oh, they're going to get their karma. They're going to get their karma. That's not how karma works. So I'm going to be presenting karma from an Ayurveda perspective. Okay. So karma is simply the work that you have to do. We're all born into karma. If you are alive, if you are in a physical body, you have karma, and you will continue to have karma until the day that you no longer need this physical body. Okay, so karma is the work that you have to do. Ayurvedic philosophy says that this work is carried over lifetimes. Okay, so don't worry. If you don't get through all your karma in this life, you'll have another one to work it out. So, you know, we're really looking to get out of the negative effects of karma, though, right? And the way we free ourselves from the negative effect of karma is by doing the work, right? It's when we don't work our path, it's when we don't work our lessons that we came here to learn, that we suffer as a result of our karma, okay? But if we do the work, we can help burn through that karma, right? And as we burn through that karma, we start to lighten our load physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And that has a bang on effect in that we become clearer. And as we become clear, we're clearer conduits, which means how we show up in life is different, which means we understand, oh, I do have a direct connection to source. And I'm able to use this energy in a very creative, powerful way in the world to affect change, to be the change I want to see in the world. And so that is what makes it such a positive experience. And Panchakarma is 5 actions. It's 5 actions, 5 ways to physically work, to cleanse, to help bring up those other areas that need work, where you need to change your thoughts, where you need to, have some emotional release, where you need to bring your focus on your spiritual path. What is your work? It is what will be highlighted. So I like to say that Panchakarma, it gets a lot out of the way, okay? And it gets a lot moving. And it makes you aware of the work that needs to be done, but it is very much only the beginning. So I want you to really pay attention as you move through this week of the physical cleanse, because this is what's going to happen. You're going to have Ama come up. And as the Ama comes up, that which is undigested is going to be up in your face. All right. It is going to be all up in your grill, and it's going to be demanding your attention. And this is why you want to create as much space as you can for yourself during this week, so you can really sink deep in the experience. And so you can be gentle with yourself and create spaces of compassion for yourself as you go through this emotional release, as these emotions come forward. So when the Ama comes up, um, you will often have old memories come up, old experiences come up. These trigger emotions that come up. You usually will be finding that you're releasing a lot of grief initially, okay? So you might be weepy, you might be crying. This is common, okay? Because as you move the Ama, also you're unclogging your physical channels. So what happens now? Oh, now the lymph starts moving. And we do have some simple lymphatic movement methods that are outlined in the course. I'm going to take the information deeper with you though. So for those of you that are like, ooh, I'm ready to get it, like just let's clear this stuff out. If you're like me, and you're like, let's go into the center of it. Okay. I will be bringing in throughout this week different things you can do to really get it stirring. Okay. So think of what's in the Kapha reset course as just the baseline. All right. Because when I presented this course, and it used to be a paid course, I had a group set up, and I would travel through with the people that were taking the course. I would travel through it with them, and I would bring in additional pieces, and I would be acting as the Ayurvedic practitioner, helping to hold the container for the experience. Yeah, I'm so with you. I'm so with you, Amanda. Let's get it. Yes, let's get it. Um, you might not feel comfortable through this process, especially if you're like me and you're like, let's get it. But let me tell you, in 1 week, you will look at yourself in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, I already see such a huge difference. And it won't just be a physical difference, it's something that you are going to see radiating through the light in your eyes. You'll see it through the whole facial expression, like the quality of your skin and your hair, everything is going to shift, and you'll just feel it. It's going to be so good. And I already noticed I feel so much lightening. I already feel so much clearer. I moved out some kind of brain fog that I had just with last week, just with the simple small changes I made, really big difference. This week it's going to be even more so. And what I noticed after the first week was what comes up next. Okay. So it's like once you start to get some Ama moving, then what you'll notice is frustration. Okay. Agitation, um, anger, resentment, these kind of emotions start to come forward, feeling edgy, feeling like you have a bunch of like kind of pent up energy, just feeling agitated. That's because that is the fire, okay, that was trapped, that was held back by all that Ama. So the Ama clears, and now all of a sudden you have your fires coming forward. But because it's been pressurized and it's been held back so long, it's going to come out just like, ah! So, one of the things that we talk about in the lesson for this week, lesson 2, cleanse, is getting in minimum, okay, minimum 3 salt scrubs this week. Okay, 3 salt scrubs. And that's so you can get that scrubbing action in, you know, that really helps move the lymphatic system. I mean, even this will move your lymphatic system, even tracing down your arms, your body gently will move the lymphatic system. But the scrubbing action is really good for, first of all, it sloughs the skin. Okay. So it gets any of those dry skin cells off, and that allows your pores to be more open. And your skin is a detoxification organ. And so we want to make sure that its channels are clear, because we're also going to get svedhana, some sweat going. All right. We want to do some sweating it out. So exercise is excellent. Okay. And exercise to the point where you do break a sweat. If you can do that, it can be a really vigorous walk. It can be just 10 minutes of putting on a song, and dancing out, in your living room. It doesn't have to be anything structured. I encourage you, especially during this week, make it something that really feels like, yeah, that sounds really good. And hey, for some of you, sometimes you might be like, I really want to get in a good hit session. I want to get in some high intensity interval training. It happens to me. So I know I'm not the only one. It probably happens for other people too. Okay. So if you feel that urge, like, go with it. Okay. But it doesn't have to be vigorous if you're just getting new, used to moving your body again. If you're not familiar with training, if you haven't exercised in a long time, or maybe you're really got a lot of kapha accumulation. Maybe you have a lot of weight on your body. You're very heavy. It's not maybe necessarily comfortable to go gung ho. Okay. So please don't listen to your body, but do get a sweat on. Whatever you do, just break a sweat. And as soon as you've broken a sweat, that's enough. Okay. Because that's what's going to help detoxify. It's also going to help move that trapped fire. So you'll find that if you find that you're really feeling angry and agitated as you move through this week, or if you have things like frustration or resentment coming up, you definitely need to move your fire. And the best way to do that is with physical exertion. It is with exercise, is the most effective way. Now, if you do have access to like a steam room, or a sauna, okay, you could go, or an infrared, you can go that route too, and that can be very helpful, for also, going through the detoxification. Because what we want to do with kapha is we want to really warm up the tissues. We want to warm up the tissues. We want to create a liquid fire state in the body where we get everything warmed up, but we also really get, things flowing. So you want to make sure your hydration is up this week. That is super important. And you're going to be drinking the switchel first thing in the morning. And that is also to help get that fire going. Now the switchel, I'm not going to lie to you. It don't taste good. It don't. I have a hard time with it, okay, myself, but I know the benefit, and it's only a week. You also may notice you don't feel so hot taking the switchel, and as well, we're steering clear of the white stuff. So this week, you're continuing on with that basis of nutrition, focusing on your prana foods this week. Really steer clear of your regressive foods this week. It's so essential. The more that you kind of bring in regressive foods when you're doing this cleansing, first of all, the harder the cleanse is going to be on you, because you're not going to feel so hot. Second of all, the more you're working against yourself. Okay. So I encourage you, just dive really deep, go all in. And that being said, if you're like, I'm not ready to go that deep, I just want to dip my toes in it, that's fine too. It's all about your experience. But if you want to make the most out of it, really steer clear of your regressive foods. And I encourage you also, as much as possible, minimize the neutral foods and focus on your prana foods. We want to really build up the nourishment in the body as we go through this cleanse. The other thing that we are going to do is drink that switchel, and that switchel is really getting that, it's getting that ama going up and out of the system, or sometimes down and out. All right. And it's getting our fire moving. And we want to help that fire have somewhere to go. It needs somewhere to go. So the exercise is a great way to like sweat it out. We're also going to use things like that salt scrub. Okay. It's action, scrubbing really helps to like, ooh, get some frustration out, but it also helps move the lymph. And you'll be able to feel when you're doing the salt scrub, like, ooh, I got a little like congestion here. I notice there's a little congestion in this area of my body. And you can like scrub that area a little bit more. There's other methods though. You don't have to just stick to salt scrubs. All right. I bring in all the different methods of purification, physical purification over 6 weeks. All right. But if you want to dive in and get some of the stuff that comes later in now, you can, in terms of how to get everything physically moving. So I really encourage you, if you're feeling gung ho, you can bring in gua sha too. That's what I'm going to be doing because I feel like I got a lot of cord cutting I need to do with stuff. Like I really want to cut the cord, do all the like old shit. I just want to cut the cord to the old cycle. I want to clear it out of me. Also, it's great for breaking up any kind of adhesions. I got a lot of that action going on too. So adhesions can really affect, like, your back, how your back feels, your joint mobility. So think of adhesions as kind of like sticky, like scar tissue. You can break up adhesions with gua sha. So this week, because I know how effective it is also for moving the emotions and going real deep like that and cutting cords and all that, I'm going to do full body gua sha every single day. And I know it's going to bring up all my stuff, and there's going to be days when I'm feeling like a hot mess emotionally, but that's okay. I've created this space for me to go there. Nice, very nice. Yeah, I already did my morning facial gua sha. I already did my morning facial gua sha, and I like to do my gua sha when I'm showering. It's just so nice in the shower because you already get the tissues, warmed up with the warm water. And I can just like put, something nice and creamy on my body. Sometimes I like to do an abhyanga first with like oil, or you could even start with a salt scrub. If you really wanted to go to town, okay, this would be an example of how you could take that salt scrub to a whole other level. So you could step into your shower stall, do a salt scrub on dry skin. Okay, that's the other thing. You want to do your salt scrub on dry skin. That's when you're going to get the most benefit of it. Okay, really easy to make your salt scrub, just any kind of oil carrier with salt so it makes the paste. That's it. You can add in a couple drops of essential oil if you want to. I go over all of that in the Kapha Reset course. So you can check out, I have a blend I put in there that I like to work with a lot for really getting the lymph moving, and it smells so good. It smells divine. Okay. But you can do just straight up just oil and salt, and that's fine. But do it on dry skin. You'll notice it gets a lot more friction going. Okay. It gets a lot more of that scrubbing action, which is so good for just sloughing off the skin, but also really getting your lymph moving, because we really want to get the lymph fired up. We want to get the lymph flowing. And it'll help you also really get in there and feel where the blockages are. Where do you have lymphatic congestion? Where does it feel particularly puffy, or where are you having bloat? Where are you noticing any kind of like hard, dry lymph, which can kind of feel like a little, like kind of gravelly under the fingers. Okay, so you're going to really get to know your body too by doing this work, which is so helpful. So you do this salt scrub, you know, on dry skin. And while you're doing that, I encourage you, if you've been dealing with frustration or if there's something you're working to release in your life, an old relationship or some old trauma or um, just a feeling that you have about yourself. Let's say you're feeling a lack of confidence. Okay, that came up recently, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. You can hold that at the forefront of your consciousness while you scrub with the intention that you're like scrubbing it off, like sloughing it off of you. It's really potent, and it's a way to kind of like really infuse the mind, body, spirit, into this work you're doing. You can hold your karma, I'm clearing off this karma, that works too. And then life will have a funny way of showing you what that karmic work is that you need to clear. So you're opening up the channel for everything to come forward for you and recognize, okay, this is my work. This is what I'm really working on these next 40 days, what I need to clear out of my system, what I need to release. After you do the salt scrub, you're going to need to rinse it off, right? So then you can turn on your shower, okay, get a nice, warm shower going and rinse that off. You'll still have that nice layer of oil on your skin from the salt scrub. Then you can take your gua sha and then you can gua sha your whole body and really get into those areas where you're like, ooh, yeah, I really have like, I feel like I got maybe some adhesions here. I also feel like I got a little like dry, congested lymph here. And then you can really go in with your gua sha and break up those areas. You can even gua sha your whole body right after that. And you want to take it to the next level. So I'm giving you levels of how you can work with these purification techniques, just looking at it from that angle of salt scrub. Okay, so salt scrub is the bare minimum baseline 3 times this week, okay? But you can take it as far as you want to. So now we got salt scrub, then gua sha. Okay, what can we do next? Start alternating the water in your shower from hot to cold, hot to cold. You can go through like, let's say, you can do this to finish that off if you want to. This is what I like to do when I'm doing my self-care. Panchakarma is super effective. So then you can do like maybe to finish off your shower, 1 minute of hot water to 30 seconds of cold water and do it 5 rounds, that's one way you can look at it. You can also, turn off your water just to conserve water while you're doing, some of this stuff as well. Like maybe you rinse off your salt scrub and then you turn off the water and you can go and get in and do your, gua sha work. So you're kind of utilizing your shower stall as like a personal spa. And then you can finish off with alternating hot to cold, and finish with a cold rinse, right? And some of you may be familiar with Wim Hof, okay? So if you want to bring in some of that Wim Hof action with this and do like a really solid cold rinse at the end of that alternating between the hot and cold, you're golden. That's what I'm going to be doing. So that's the way I'm going to be moving through this. I'm going to be doing 3 days a week. I'm going to do that full on experience where I'm going to start with salt scrub. Then I'm going to do full body gua sha and really getting in the details. And then I'm going to finish with the, alternating between hot and cold with a cold rinse, and that's how I'm going to do that. All right. You can take one part of that, all parts of that, whatever you want, but daily, I'm going to be doing gua sha. Always. Daily, I'm going to do gua sha, and then 3 times a week. This week, I'm going to be doing that whole kind of, get the lymph stirred action with the salt scrub, gua sha, and alternating between hot and cold water rinse, finishing with cold rinse. And that makes a big, 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 big difference. You can also too at night if you want, or before, it depends. If you want to do another something else, maybe let's say you have a bunch of really tender emotions come up, okay? If you feel super emotional, because I want you always to listen to, what your body's telling you, what your experience is communicating to you. So let's say you do this, maybe you go full blast, maybe you're all in like me and you're like, I want to do the salt scrub, I want to do the gua sha, I want to alternate the hot and the cold water. I'm going all in, okay? And I'm going to do that 3 days a week. I don't really recommend you do that more than 3 days a week with this, that whole deal, okay? Because you're going to send yourself on a total overload, all right? But on the other days, the other 4 days, you absolutely can do something to physically still move your limb. I wouldn't do salt scrub, okay? Because you don't want to do a salt scrub every day. It's actually not beneficial for your body. But you could do daily gua sha if you wanted to. You could also do a daily abhyanga, and that is very traditional. And I really encourage you to bring in abhyanga. It is traditional Ayurveda. Dry brush before you get in the shower. You can. What I would want to say about this, though, and this is why I recommended salt scrubs, is it all depends on where you're at. If you have a lot of vata going on, if you are dried out, if you have been depleted, I do not recommend dry brushing because it increases vata. So it depends on where you're at. If you are waterlogged, if you're bloated, if you got a lot of kind of like weight going on that you're needing to clear out, if you've been puffy, if you've been congested, if your thinking has been dull, if you've been low energy and having a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, yeah, you could do dry brushing before you went into the shower. But if you have been anxious, okay, if you've been dried out, if you have been constipated, okay, you don't want to do dry brushing. It'll only make matters worse. So it's all about knowing where you're at, knowing where you're at. But if you feel like, yeah, I'm kind of bloated, I've been feeling really kind of bogged down, or I'm feeling like my limbs are kind of heavy when I'm walking, I'm really low energy. Yeah, you can throw in dry brushing. Dry brushing would be good, but I wouldn't do it if you're not feeling like you got kapha accumulation. Hmm. Because it's just kind of counterproductive. Then you're going to create more to address. You know what I mean? Um, Abhyanga is very traditional. It's just part of daily life. In Ayurveda, Abhyanga is considered extremely balancing, and it's a way to nourish the tissues while also stimulating the lymphatic system. So I definitely encourage that, bringing that in. It can be like so, so, so helpful. Um, and that's very simple. You can use any kind of oil that you're drawn to and warm it up a little bit so it feels really nice. You could even use ghee to give yourself a massage, and that is extremely nourishing for the tissues. And you just want to do circular motions around your joints, and you can do back and forth motions over the limbs. You want to do clockwise circles over the belly. You can also do, breast massage. You want to move everything in toward the nipples because they are also a detoxification portal. Okay. Um, and same thing with down the legs, you just want to do nice long strokes down the legs, circular around the joints. And then you can leave it on for up to an hour. But the thing with doing abhyanga is you want to make sure that you shower it off or take a bath afterwards to cleanse off the excess oil, because otherwise, if you just let the oil sit, it will dampen your natural fire. And we're trying to get our fire going. All right. So if you have the switchel, this is one of the common questions that comes up. Some people have a really hard time with the switchel. Okay. If you have a hard time with the apple cider vinegar, a good substitution is lemon juice. Some people find they do better with the lemon juice than they do with apple cider vinegar. I've done both. I personally prefer to swap 2 tablespoons of lemon juice for 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, but that's because I'm a pitta. And so I'm pitta dominant, which means I already have a lot of natural fire. So I sometimes feel like the apple cider vinegar is just a little too much for me. Okay. But the lemon juice works really well for me. So that's all up to you. And that's usually the main question that comes up, as well as I'm glad that you brought that in, Amanda, about the dry brushing, because that's another question that often comes up for people is what about dry brushing? And I would say stick to that. If you're running dry, if you've had anxiety, if you've really had insomnia, trouble sleeping, things like that, I would not do dry brushing because it's only going to increase the vata, which will increase the anxiety and all of those issues. Okay, so otherwise, you're golden. You're golden to work with the dry brushing. So we work with qualities or gunas in Ayurveda. If something's dry, then we want to bring in something that brings in some kind of hydration. If something is oily, then we want to work with astringency. So we counterbalance, and this is how we find the balance. So dry brushing's dry. So dry quality, dry quality conditions are things like anxiety, insomnia, scattered energy, dry cracked lips, things along these lines, dry brittle nails, dry staticky hair. So those kind of things you don't want to bring more dry in. It's going to aggravate it. You want more hydration. If you are noticing that you are running excess vata, which a lot of people can have excess vata at this time too, just after going through the cold season. It can be very, very helpful to really include daily abhyanga as you go through this. I'm a pitta vata. Pitta is my dominant, vata is my secondary. And so I tend to bring in daily abhyanga when I'm going through this process, even as I'm doing the other stuff. It definitely helps, makes a big, big difference. And I steer clear of dry brushing just because vata is my secondary. And for me and my constitution, they're almost like neck and neck with each other. So it's very easy for me to go either way. And I find that the scrubs and all that other stuff are wonderful. Okay. So on the days that you're not doing your scrubs, whether you do, there's also an Utan recipe for a traditional chickpea flour scrub that's also included in the course. Okay, so that's very, very traditional Ayurveda. You can do that instead of the salt scrub. It's up to you. Okay. But 3 days that, and you can make it as simple as just the salt scrub or the Upton scrub, or you can go a whole other level and add on those other methods that I suggested. Then if you want to continue to go deeper on the alternate days that you're not doing that, you can either bring in daily gua sha, or you can bring in daily abhyanga, or you could really go for it and you could do daily abhyanga and gua sha. Okay. So it's just all up to you. Make it your own. I think that those are the main things that come up at this portion. What can you expect as far as how you can feel? We already touched on the emotional stuff coming up, um, the feelings coming up. This can also be a good time to bring in just like some kind of notebook. I'm going to use this one for myself, but somewhere like maybe at the end of your day, you can kind of just do a little reflection and maybe write out what you're noticing, like what kind of emotions are coming up for you. How are you feeling? How's your body feeling? And also any questions you have for me the next day, like I'm noticing this, can you give me any assistance with this? So this is helpful to bring in just to hold a space for reflection for your experience, as well as steering clear as much as you can. I mean, if you can do a full detox from social media, the better off you're going to be. But I understand some people might have to be on for their work, but as much space as you can take from external distractions, whether that's social engagements or TV, traditionally on a Panchakarma, you wouldn't be watching TV, you wouldn't be really doing a lot of stuff online. You wouldn't be on social media, and you would just be engaging in a lot of relaxing, downtime, reflective activities. So, as much as you can create that space for yourself, do so and allow yourself to rest as much as you need. Don't feel guilty about it. And remember that rest is the top priority. Okay. So if you wake up one day and, maybe maybe you end up getting in a rhythm and you're like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this exercise. Okay. But let's say you get up one morning and you're like, you know what? I'm feeling really emotional. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't feel like exercising. I just want to rest today. That's all I want to do. Respect that and let yourself rest, because when your body is asking for rest, especially during this Panchakarma cleanse, it needs it so it can do its detoxification. So you may notice some other symptoms come up as you go through this process, and I want to bring those in aside from the emotional stuff that can come up. Or sometimes old trauma that resurfaces. You may also notice certain physical symptoms. So what can those be? You might break out. Okay, your skin might look a little worse before it looks better. All right, it's just, again, remember, your skin is a detoxification organ, so that happens. You might notice, for example, like maybe you notice a lot of redness coming up in your skin. Well, that's the trapped fire being released, right? It's that inflammation releasing. You might need to go to the bathroom more frequently. Okay. That's common too. So be prepared for that. You can feel really tired, especially if you have a lot of detoxification to do. Okay. So you may feel a little bit more run down, a little more exhausted. You may feel like you need more time to like take naps, rest, sleep, allow yourself to do that. It's so important. You might feel a little headachy. Usually that only lasts the first few days. If you are allowing yourself to have coffee, which there's nothing wrong with that, okay, but really keep it to a minimum. I wouldn't do more than, 2 cups of coffee a day at the most, okay? As much as you can cut back coffee and instead swap it out for like a nice herbal chai, or green tea. Green tea is also very cleansing. The better off you're going to be. And make sure that if you are having coffee, you have it early. Have it early. Don't do it later. But a little coffee can be beneficial, um, because it helps kapha a bit. Kapha can do with a little bit of that bitter taste. So it actually can be beneficial. But remember, you're steering clear of the white stuff. So that's really the main thing we're avoiding during this week is you want to steer clear completely of white sugar. You want to steer clear of dairy, and you want to steer clear of flour. All right. Even even whole wheat flour. If you feel like you really need to have some bread, go for sprouted grains. It's a little bit different, okay? And those can be very beneficial. You can find really yummy sprouted grain bread too. It doesn't have to be like a brick, like Ezekiel bread, all right? And I think that pretty much covers it. Just make sure you're giving yourself time to rest, sink in deeply, all of that, and respect that if you need to. And don't be hard on yourself if you're like, oh, but I feel like, I just want a little bit of butter on this potato instead of ghee. I don't want the ghee. It's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. Let it meet you where you're at. Um, but the more that you can follow it closely to what's outlined in the Kapha reset, the more you're going to get out of this. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, homemade seed bread. That sounds really good. Nut flour's fine. Nut flour's fine. Same thing with milks. If you want to use like a nut milk, or if you want to go for an oat milk, or something like that, that's totally fine. That can be totally beneficial. Okay, so yeah, those things are great. It's mainly the dairy. The dairy is like really like clogs up the channels, and we don't want that when we're doing a detoxification process at all. Okay, so enjoy your nut milks. I know I'm gonna make myself some walnut milk. I'm really excited about that. Somebody told me about making walnut milk and how yummy it is, and so I'm going to do some of that for myself because I love walnuts as it is, and walnuts are very, very beneficial on so many levels, and they got a little bit of that bitter rasa, which is so good for moving kapha, and they're great brain food, great EFA, so I'm looking forward to that. But you can like soak the walnuts overnight, and then you rinse the walnuts off, and then you put the walnuts into a blender and put in like 4 cups of water. So you do a cup of walnuts to 4 cups of water, and you blend it up, boom, walnut milk, and you can strain it, but I don't like to strain it. I'm like, no, give me all that goodness in there. You can strain it if you want, though, and you can set aside that walnut pulp and you can use it in other things. You can add it to your smoothies for just a little additional boost or whatever. That's the other thing I would suggest too with this week in terms of the food. Glad I brought that in. It's very wise to consume as many easily digestible foods as possible as well, because we want to be able to give the digestion a break since it's already going to be in the process. Like your liver is going to be excreting, your gallbladder is going to be excreting, like your detoxification process is going to be kicked off in the digestive organs. So the more that we can allow the body to divert that energy to that detoxification process, the better. So one way that you can really help that out is by focusing on a very simple diet that's easy for the body to digest. So soups are great for that reason. Soups, stews, porridges, um, really saucy like casseroles, and traditionally khichdi. And khichdi is made with lentils, okay? And we do have a recipe for khichdi outlined in the Kapha Reset course, and it's a really good one. Sometimes you can bring potatoes into khichdi. It depends. It's usually done with like mung dal, chana dal, along those lines. And there's all kinds of enzymatic spices put in, and there's recipes that are included in the first week. That cleansing pesto, you can make up khichdi, and then you can put some of that cleansing pesto on your khichdi with a little ghee. So good. It's so good. And it's so nourishing, and it's really easy for the body to digest. You're also wanting to keep your meat, to a minimum, especially this week. Okay. I would say meat, for one meal this week, if you have to have it. If you want to go all vegetarian, vegan this week, you can. It can be very helpful for just clearing everything out. But if you need some meat, try to stick to the lighter meats, fish, uh, white meat, poultry, you know, that's going to be your best bet for that. Okay. Yeah, and khichdi is traditional. I mean, in traditional Ayurveda, if you're going through Panchakarma, you eat khichdi for every meal. Khichdi for breakfast, khichdi for lunch, khichdi for dinner. It's a mono diet. But I'm working with this on a different level with y'all. Basically, what the Kapha Reset course is it's 1 week of traditional Panchakarma is spread out over a period of 40 days. Well, it's actually more 42 days, okay? So you can do it at home for yourself, self-care style. I did a lot of experimenting with this as I was developing it because I wanted to recreate the end result of Panchakarma that is achieved in a clinical setting in a self-care application. And what I learned is it takes a good 40 days to really make it happen. Just because it's a lot more to do the work for yourself. And also, I feel like it's beneficial in the way that it's laid out self-care style because it encourages people to really get in touch with their body on a deeper level. And what you learn through the course and moving through all aspects of it really just becomes something that you carry forward in your lifestyle. And then when summer solstice comes along and we unlock the Pitta course, we'll go to the next level, you know? And then there's all new methods and there's all new nutrition. This is all about getting you in flow with the harmony of the seasons. That's what Ayurveda is based on. We don't eat the same year round. We eat according to what's in season and what's in season for us locally. And that's how we really maximize our health on every level, mind, body, spirit, by coming into that direct alignment with nature and nature's cycles. Okay. So, is there any questions you all have before I dive into our reading here with Kali Ma and just see what Kali Ma wants to bring in for us this week? Also, I'll tell a little story. There's always something that comes in before Panchakarma. I always get some kind of like memo or download to sort of direct the experience and what this is about. Ooh, pumpkin seed milk. That sounds good. I've never tried that. I'll have to try that. That sounds delicious, Amanda. So it's funny. Yesterday, I posted something on Facebook. I posted this this meme that was talking about thanks universe for the sign, but I was kind of looking for a signier sign, and there is rice in it. You can do rice in it. Yeah, I have a recipe. I just have one recipe that's up there on the Kapha Reset course. You can use that one. I go into that about other things you can add. That's all in the course. But yeah, you can put rice in it. You can do potato too. Some people like to do potato with mung dal. Some people like to do rice with mung dal. Some people might even want to do quinoa with mung dal. Whatever works for you. So yeah, you absolutely can do that. And I talk about that in the recipe, like some different substitutions you can make, some different ways to enhance it. Like if you really got a lot of excess kapha, here's some different spices you can add in to boost that effect. I think you'll like it. It really outlines it pretty thoroughly. So you can kind of make it your own, make it your own. It's so important. So anyway, so I was, I put up this meme, and the meme said, thanks for the sign universe, but I was looking for a signier sign, okay? And right after I posted that meme, I went out for a walk. And it was funny because as I was walking, I came across this card, and it looked like a tarot card almost. It was like laying on the ground, and I picked it up, and it was like just all these little bullet points, and it had to do with the 80s, 1980, okay? And I'm a Generation Xer, so the 1980s, were that I grew up in the 80s, so it's funny because I was like, what is this? And I read through all the little bullet points that were on this card, and I was like, oh my gosh, this totally relates to like my situation. It was like getting some fortune telling, just handed down to me from life. But then it was like, wait a minute, is that another card? Is that another one? And I looked, and all up ahead of me, there was these cards sprawled out all across the asphalt. And it made me laugh because this had come up in a reading I had done recently here where I was talking about synchronicity is going to increase, and it's going to be like little breadcrumbs being left on the path leading you to your next step. So I was like, this is wild. Like, these are really breadcrumbs in the form of cards. And I love reading with all different kinds of cards. I bring all different kinds of cards into my reading. So I was like, I got to get all these cards. So I started gathering them, and they just kept going and going. And then I got like to the end of the trail, and there was this big long box there, right? And it was full of these cards. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if they like flew out of the back of somebody's truck, if they were moving or what, but they were Trivial Pursuit cards. And that made me laugh because I was like, I get it. So the download for this Panchakarma for all of us is we are going to be shown where we are kind of investing our energy in trivial pursuits. All right. So this is the thing that's going to come forward. It's going to be the thing that's front and center. We already have one of our totems came in, and that is the white raven. We got white raven as our totem that came in for this particular cleanse. I also had two more that came in this morning, and whenever I have them come in when I'm holding space for Panchakarma, I know that it's for the group that's moving through Panchakarma with me. So they were both oceanic creatures. So whale came in, and whale is all about the Akashic records. Okay. So I feel, oh yes, red cardinal came in too. So messages from spirit. Okay. In particular with red cardinal, we're looking at messages coming in from your ancestors. Because it has a lot to do with, those who've crossed over, reaching out to communicate with you. So yes, thank you for reminding me, Julie, about that. So we had red cardinal, we got white raven, we had whale come in, which is all about the Akashic records. So again, there's this karmic piece coming in. Do be looking for a lot of information coming in. Oh gosh. That has a lot to do with maybe previous incarnations you've had, that has a lot to do with holdover karma, that has a lot to do with generational healing, and just understanding what your spiritual path is about at this time. We also had shark come in. Okay. So shark is all about sensing. People don't often think about that with shark, but it is about sensing. Shark is very sensitive to vibrations. Everything communicates to them through vibrations, through the energy frequencies. Shark is also about always keeping it moving. Shark is about the ability to survive. Okay. And so I feel like all of these themes are each going to speak to you in different ways, and yeah, you're going to have those coming in for yourself too. I'm going to go ahead and put that up there. You're going to have your own totems coming in. You're going to have your own medicines coming in. But I feel like for us collectively as a group, these three pieces are coming in as a focus for us as we move through this week, really getting in touch with our roots, receiving guidance, receiving downloads, um, maybe looking at generational healing, um, being open to receive. And, I thought of something this morning, and it was like this piece of like cleanliness is next to godliness, right? We hear that often. I love a recipe for that. That sounds good. I'll have to check that out. That sounds really delicious. I like cashew cheese too. I like some of the nut cheeses like Miyoko's is like a cultured nut cheese, and it's actually delicious. I love their farmhouse style. It's really yum yum. So yeah, those are bitchin' sauce is good too. Okay, for those of you that have access to that, they carry it in a lot of grocery stores now. A lot of the major grocery stores nationally. So really easy to get your hands on. That's another way you can deal with, not having cheese. Those of you who love cheese, and you may find after you have it for a week, you're like, I don't feel like I crave cheese as much anymore, So that can be something you can do to swap out, and it's beneficial. Um, but yeah, I feel like those are themes that are kind of coming forward for us this week. So just pay attention to what comes in there. And with that, cleanliness is next to godliness. This came in for me this morning. And it was interesting because I was like, you know what? It's really true, because people usually look at that like, you know, uh, just mainly like, keeping your home clean, and, keeping your speech clean, like these kind of things. It's like, yes, that's part of it, but cleanliness is next to godliness, what that really comes from. And really all of those scriptures, regardless of what your belief system is, it's a course in alchemy. Okay, so cleanliness, when we are a clear channel, okay, mind, body, spirit, it's next to godliness, because then we're connected to source, and that source can work through us. So that piece came in too this morning, and I thought that was really interesting. So let's see here. All right, Kalima, Jai Kalima, Jai Kalima, Jai Kalima. What guidance do you have for the collective moving through Panchakarma this week? What guidance do you have for the collective moving through Panchakarma this week? What guidance do you have for the collective moving through Panchakarma this week? Almost thought something flipped up. Did it? It did. Okay. I had something flip up in the middle of the deck. Ooh, yes. All right. I like that. Okay. Buckle up. So we have Kundalini Shakti. Okay. Number 10. Okay, so 10 is all about the closing of an old cycle so the new cycle can begin. The new cycle brings gifts, brings a new beginning in a new direction. But before we can really open up to that energy, first we have to close the old cycle out. So this is a big focus coming in this week. Now, Kundalini is the transformational life force energy that is stored at the base of the spine. It's also known as the sleeping serpent. And this energy usually stays in this location in the energy body throughout the life until the point of death, at which point it's released during times of transition. And it's important bringing in this Kundalini piece, because a lot of people chase Kundalini awakening. This is actually not very wise to chase Kundalini awakening. Kundalini is something that it really should be left to sleep. That sleeping serpent should be left to sleep until it is ready to be activated of its own free will. Okay. That being said, some of you may be in a space where maybe you are in a place of readiness to experience this awakening, and you might be finding that part of the work that you're doing this week is really clearing out, that channel so that these altered states of consciousness can begin to awaken in you. The reason why I say it's best not to court Kundalini awakening is that it can be a very intense experience. And if you're not in a place of readiness for it and you're chasing after the siddhis or power of that experience, then it can be very destabilizing. And I've seen people really have some issues with Kundalini awakening when they've tried to force an awakening on, right? So you'll find that, meditation and these practices of mindfulness, when they are really practiced consistently, you can have these experiences spontaneously. But I really see this as working with that Shakti principle. And Shakti is that creative force, that creative energy. It's working with that divine mother energy, which we do bring in quite frequently with Panchakarma. In particular, near the end of Panchakarma, we really bring in this nurturing of that divine mother. And Kali is one of the aspects of um, that that Shakti energy. She has three faces. Shakti has three faces. There's Parvati, there's Shakti. Parvati is one face of Shakti. You have Kali is another face of Shakti, and then you have Saraswati is another aspect of that Shakti energy. So I feel like this is really coming into that place of nurturing the Shakti. And some of you may experience some introduction to Kundalini energy. Some of you may already be acquainted with Kundalini, but it rises up through the Sushumna, and the Sushumna is the channel that runs right along your spine. So this lets me know that there's a lot of this balancing work happening here. You notice the masculine, the feminine are both together here, all right? So that's represented as the Ida and Pingala, okay? The masculine, the feminine components, the polarities within ourselves. This is about coming into this place of balance within ourselves, which, if you want to look at it at a deeper level, when we're looking at masculine, feminine, we're looking at active for the masculine, receptive for the feminine. Both of these are essential if we're able to come to a place of activating our visions and having any kind of transformation in our lives. We need to hold both of these energies in balance of acting and receiving. Right now, you're in this place of receptivity when you're going through this Panchakarma week. Really, it's all about receiving. It's about receiving the guidance that you need by turning within, creating this space to go through this healing process. It's about doing this work to allow the emotions to come forward. And what this is going to do is it's going to clear the channel so that when you emerge on the other side of this, you will have those masculine, feminine polarities within the self, the receptive, the active balance within the self, that your actions will come from a very clear place. And this is what creates transformation. This is how we activate our visions and we bring them forward in a very clear way. We do focus a little bit on this too, the Kundalini aspect, the Shakti aspect. We focus on it at the end of the Panchakarma experience, at the end of the Kapha reset course. So I do want to read a little bit what she has to say about this and bring her words in just to give us all some food for thought, because I feel like this is coming in on day one. This is very much like a central focus of the work that we'll be doing this week. It's sort of this Kundalini Shakti energy is holding the container around this experience for us, this particular Panchakarma week for us. So I just want to see what she has to say here. And she also has um, an invocation ritual for this. So we'll bring this in too. I'm just going to read the opening paragraph here. I don't know. Let me see. Considering that this is for the opening this week, for this Panchakarma week, I think I'll go ahead and read the whole thing. It's not too long, and I think it can provide us with some beneficial information. Kundalini Shakti. Hers is the arising consciousness that evokes instability within, clearing the inner pathways for higher consciousness to manifest. Inner disturbance and instability wrought by Kundalini Shakti is an obscuring grace. Internal disorder is a necessary step toward divine reorganization. Reassure your heart that no matter what may appear to be, at a spiritual level, all is well. Outworn energy is being processed and broken apart. From the ashes of your inner fire, you shall emerge anew. Let what needs to happen, happen. And I love that. That's exactly everything that we have been talking about today. Just that you're going to be breaking up a lot of these blockages in your body as you do. This is going to create that internal disorder. You're going to see the work that needs to be done. It's going to be up in your face. You're going to be doing a lot of release work, and there's this outworn energy. That which doesn't serve is now being cleared out, broken apart, cleared out. And it's from igniting that inner fire, that we burn through all that old stuff, all those old blockages, mind, body, spirit. And that is what allows us to kind of rise from those ashes into that creative force where we're able to activate our visions. I love how that came through. And also this piece, reassure your heart that no matter what may appear to be at a spiritual level, all is well. So this is really about reminding yourself as you go through this experience and as your emotions surface that, hey, it's all good. We got this. Okay. This is part of the process. I'm getting free. That's a good way to kind of remind yourself as you're moving through the experience when you're bumping up against these internal blocks as things get broken up physically. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read the rest here just to see what additional insight it provides. I haven't read this one before myself, so I'm interested to see, and I think it has application. I'm being guided to do it, at least for this one, for our opening card that we're pulling this week. Within the subtle field of the body is a powerful, creative, and awakening energy known as Kundalini. When the soul is ready, this energy, rather like a snake uncoiling, stirs and rises. Awakened Kundalini becomes Kundalini Shakti, moving according to its own pace, path, and wisdom. It clears the chakras, purifying the body and mind, preparing the body to more readily receive spiritual energies, weaving through the subtle energy body from the base of the spine toward the crown of the head, seeking release through the top of the head. As purification is rarely an enjoyable experience, this powerful natural process requires courage. As energy shifts and we are cleansed emotionally, we may have physical symptoms of discomfort and dramatically fluctuating moods. Our thought processes may be confused, and our perception not as astute as it may otherwise be. Like sediment being sifted from the bottom of a water glass, that which was clear becomes temporarily muddy. As the sediment is removed, the water settles again, but with more clarity. The oracle indicates a need to be patient and to allow for the confirmation of signs and intuitions. You do not need to ignore signs to act, but it is wise to recognize that you are presently within a liminal space of healing. The way things look now will change dramatically in the not too distant future. In just a week. In just a week, you'll see the difference. It is not wise to try and build a foundation on shifting ground. Be patient. Trust that you will know when the time to act is upon you. When Kundalini Shakti rises, energies are beginning to move in new ways. The oracle indicates there is something within you that has been dormant, perhaps for a long time, even lifetimes. And I love that because that Akashic Records piece came in with the whale. It is now reawakening. I'm telling you, when those totems come in, they come in for a reason. This message could relate to an aspect of your being, even a past life talent that will be further developed in this lifetime. Now, isn't that interesting? Because with that cardinal that came in for us earlier, which was another totem, the cardinal on that particular card, it says hidden talent. So this, I think this is another piece of the puzzle coming in. This is what I love about Panchakarma. This is what Panchakarma is like. It's like a treasure hunt. One thing leads to another discovery, and it's all for your expansion, your healing, your integration. It's so powerful. So I feel like that is coming in, this activation of you're getting some access to your Akashic records. This is awakening your creative force. You're going through this detoxification process. And yes, you're on a physical detox this week, but it's also going to have its effects on your energy body and what's awakening in your consciousness. Really potent. And it seems like there's something that's going to awaken in us all, some kind of hidden talent that could be related to a past life. That's very wild. Hmm. Even a past life talent that will be further developed in this lifetime. It could be a stalled project coming back to life again, or a reinvigorated sense of purpose following an unexpected inspiration. Moving forward and ascension to a new level of experience and being are predicted. Sometimes there is quite a long period of deep incubation on the spiritual path when not much seems to be happening. I think all of us collectively have been there, like, okay, what's the next step? Where do we go next? I think collectively, we've all kind of been at the crossroads for a while, right? Kundalini Shakti is an inner movement of energy which will eventually demonstrate an outer effect that is often considerable. It can seem illogical to the intellect, but if you want the externals of your life to change, go within and work on your inner self healing. Through trusting and protecting the process of inner work, shielding it from prying eyes and ill informed, fear based negative opinions, hence why it's so important to take a break from social media this week, a new authentic self is generated. We don't have to know how to accomplish that. The movement of Kundalini Shakti is an awakening energy with its own creative intelligence. She knows how to guide us towards spiritual fruition, just as the body knows how to heal a broken bone, even if we cannot understand how to accomplish such an astonishing feat at a conscious level. The time naturally comes when the newly forged self is strong enough, sufficiently spiritually integrated, and ready to be seen, heard, and received. We are ready to come out of the spiritual closet. We have no interest in trying to mold ourselves to fit the demands of others. We are divinely self generated from within. There is no benefit or effectiveness in trying to rush this process. It takes time and effort to distill our nature with sufficient resilience so we are not shaken in the face of conflict by attempted sabotage or the fearful projections of others. Only then can our presence bring clarity and grace. Such spiritual infusion, integration, and reformation takes as long as it takes. It is not a small accomplishment. We must be generous with our process, providing patience and trust. The oracle brings confirmation that you are working deeply, and much can come of this. Your labors are not in vain. The oracle of Kundalini Shakti indicates creativity and healing on every level. It also indicates a time when matters of relationship are significant for your soul growth. Tuning into the masculine and feminine energies in your soul will help you balance leading and receiving, directing and allowing, pursuit and presence, both in your outer worldly life and inner spiritual life. Trust your heart and don't be hesitant to lean into unfamiliar territory with boldness tempered by patience. You will become capable of many things on many levels that you were not capable of accomplishing previously. A new way is signified. And there's a prayer here. This is an invocation ritual. Okay, so just take a moment and just place a hand on your heart, or you can place your hands in prayer over your heart to receive this. We're just setting the intention for our Panchakarma week together, journeying into this deep place of letting go, of release, of clearing out karma, clearing out that which is undigested, of activating our inner fire so that we can really bring that light forward in the world. And we're going to bring it in with this prayer with Ma Kali as our guide as we move through this journey, because Kali helps us to cut the cords to that which doesn't serve. She helps us to clear out all of those lower vibrational energies, everything that is a trivial pursuit in our lives, so that we can really step into our empowerment and move forward in life in a way that we can affect the change that we wish to see in the world. Okay, so let's just drink this in together, receive this, let us sit with these words and carry them through this first day of Panchakarma as we open up this experience with each other. Beloved Kali Ma, cosmic priestess of the divine feminine, I honor you, Mataji. Beloved Shiva Mahadev, fierce guardian of the divine masculine, I honor you, Babaji. Together you are loving divine wisdom, passionate healing fire, and uplifting transcendent grace. Your tantric embrace ignites my heart with confidence to create and be joyful and rapturous in claiming my life path for all it can be. My soul is your divine bedchamber, infused with the bliss of your sumptuous sacred union. I become able to recognize my true nature and path. Adi Shakti, Kundalini, Mata Shakti, you ensure divine fulfillment shall be attained for the spiritual benefit of all beings. Jai Ma Kali. Place your hands in prayer over your heart. Allow the left hand to be covered by the right hand. See, sense, feel, or intend that the love of the feminine is being protected and guarded carefully by the light of the masculine. That's so beautiful. Feel those energies intermingling in your heart, where love, courage, and a feeling of innate spiritual protection grows strong and powerful. Let this bring you peace. Finish by placing your hands in prayer and bowing your head to the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies within. Allow them to shine in all directions and through all dimensions for the spiritual benefit of all beings. I feel really compelled at this time to start off our Panchakarma with the Adi Shakti mantra. And if you know the Adi Shakti mantra, you're welcome to join me, but I'm bringing it in as an invocation since this came in so strongly. I feel like this is a very important piece. And I also feel like this piece of starting your day this week, each morning when you rise, do this, take this moment to place your left hand on your heart and then your right hand on top of it, that divine masculine protecting the divine feminine. That is just, I felt emotionally moved when that came in. I feel like that is so needed at this time. It's like the divine feminine is raging, right? Just raging for order. We talked about at the beginning of this that rage, that anger, that wall of fire, being held back. And this is almost like, I feel like this is a message coming through about it's safe, like the divine masculine energy can hold down that space. It's safe for you to let go of this burden that you're holding in your heart, and to experience a different side of the masculine, the side of the masculine that's protective and sheltering and provides the strength for you to move into your softness and your openness. It's making me really emotional. I think this is a very key piece coming in, and I feel like this is really what is being healed in this Panchakarma through this week is going to come up so strongly for the collective, the ways that we feel so divided, the ways that we have, in essence, cast the divine masculine aside, because by and large, if you look at society, so many have chopped up, the masculine to just being, the patriarchy. And there's this complete loss that without the masculine, we don't have the avenue for the creative force to work through. The masculine is the way, and the feminine is the activating creative force. We need both. You cannot bringing in our raven symbolism, the white raven. A bird cannot fly if it only has one wing. We need both. We need the masculine and the feminine, and the masculine and the feminine within us. So I feel like really calling forward the Shakti energy to hold us, to support us, and invoking it with the mantra, and just sitting in this space to receive it. So just keep letting that masculine hold down that space, okay? Because they're working in tandem. They're working in tandem, and this is really going to get rooted for all of us, mind, body, and spirit, as we move through this week. Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo Namo, Kritam Bhagavati, Kritam Bhagavati, Kritam Bhagavati, Namo Namo, Kundalini, Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo Namo, Kritam Bhagavati, Kritam Bhagavati, Kritam Bhagavati, Namo Namo, Kundalini, Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo Namo, Kritam Bhagwari, Kritam Bhagwari, Kritam Bhagwari, Namo Namo, Kundalini, Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. Thank you. Welcome to day one of the cleanse of the Panchakarma Puja, and I will be dropping in with you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day of discovery.